Hi, Ms. Ardern. Welcome to Sky TV's interview. It's really nice to have you here. I'm Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. It's very nice to be here again.
So let's start with the coming election. The latest poll seems quite positive to Labour. So do you contribute it to the Jacinda effect?
No, I contribute that to people having a mood for change. The fact that over the last 9 years, we've drifted in some areas that are really important to us, like, for instance, home ownership, like access to good healthcare and good education. So we've certainly set out our plan for how we can turn those things around, and I'd like to think that people are hearing that and agree that New Zealand can be an even better place to live.
Still, the poll is always changing and shifting. What would you do to ensure that Labour has a lead in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, when I have conversations with people, it's clear to me that they still haven't always heard some of the ideas that we're promoting. And so the last 2 weeks we'll be using to make sure that people really have heard some of those ideas, and also clear up some of the misinformation. For instance, we've costed every single policy that we have. We've demonstrated how we can pay for it. We've also demonstrated the rules that we'll stick to in government. We've put it all there publicly available for people to see at labour.org.nz. And for us, it's about making sure people hear about our economic credibility and our ability in the past to have governed with budget surpluses, getting net crown debt next to zero, and run a strong economy.
You know, Jacinda, when you first became the deputy leader of Labour, we had an interview right here in this room.
Yes, we did.
And I asked that whether if you thought of being Prime Minister one day. You said no.
Yes, that's right.
But now you could be the future Prime Minister.
That's right.
So do you think that all this has happened so fast that you may need to check if it's all real?
Yeah, yes, it has happened very, very quickly, and it's been quite a set of exceptional circumstances. Obviously, Andrew, who I have a huge amount of respect for, made the decision on the 1st of August that he thought the polls were too low for Labour to succeed, and he then went on to nominate me. So definitely I never predicted that, but I am enjoying the challenge immensely. I'm ready to be Prime Minister. Labour as a team is incredibly strong and are ready to be in government.
So you're ready?
Absolutely.
So it looks like your momentum is unstoppable. You've changed the whole picture of Labour. With all the respect to Jacinda, but I have to ask, has this thought ever come across to your mind that the resignation of Andrew should happen earlier, for the sake of the interest of the party?
Yeah, no, that hasn't, not at all. I mean, ultimately, Andrew made a decision himself, and it was his decision. He decided, after seeing where some of those polls at that point were, that it was, in his view, in the best interest of the party for us to try something different. That should and could only have ever been his decision, and I really respect him for that.
Now, some people are saying that they like you a lot, but they're still learning blue. So what do you think of this feeling?
Well, I'd like to think that in the last 7 weeks they've obviously seen a lot of me, and what you see is what you get. I've always been a very open person. I'm the same person all of the time, and certainly I've tried to convey to people that they can that the values that I'm sharing and that you can see are the ones that I'll take into government. Of course, I know people need to know who their leaders are, which is why I've put a lot of myself out there in the last 5 weeks.
Some people think that you have values and vision, but lack details. How would you respond to this opinion?
I'd say that we have a manifesto, a plan of all our policy that is in the order of hundreds of pages. So actually I've challenged anyone who said that to name one policy area that they want detail on, and I can share it. Yes, we've got short slogans on billboards, but behind better healthcare is our plan to reduce doctors' fees by $10 per visit. Behind better education is our plan, for instance, to make sure that schools don't rely on donations but have proper investment and funding. There is detail that sits behind every one of those slogans, because Labour is always a party that has a lot of policy and a lot of ideas.
So do you think you are an idealist or pragmatist?
Both. I'm absolutely a pragmatic idealist. And what does that mean? That means that, for instance, I believe in free education. I do. We all benefit when our society is well educated. But it's going to take us a while to get there. So that's why our policy of 3 years free education,
stage by stage.
Stage by stage. So I'm really pragmatic about how long it takes us to get to some of our ideals.
So the Labour announced to stop foreign buyers buying existing houses. The thing is, how would you define foreign buyers?
Yeah. So we've always said that actually it's about the right to live and then the right to own. So permanent residency and citizenship. But beyond that, if you aren't in those categories, if you build a home, then we're treating that differently, because then you're contributing to our housing stock, and that's important. But we're really targeting, particularly here, foreign speculators who often aren't even living in New Zealand, who have less interest in New Zealand. Our plan is to try and make sure that if you have that right to live here long term, you have the right to buy here, and it's not dissimilar to what other countries do as well, and for good reason. It's about trying to maintain the ability of people who choose to call New Zealand home in the long term to have the ability to build and buy and be able to own a home in an affordable price.
So the thing is that Labour is going to cut the numbers of immigrants, right? But New Zealand is a country deeply relying on migrants.
Absolutely accept
that the cut of migrants may also kill the GDP
No,
growth?
no, not at all. If you look at, for instance, we had the strongest continuous economic growth since World War II through the period of the last Labour government. Migrant numbers then sat around 40,000. Now we're sitting around 70,000. That would have been fine if we'd built houses. If we'd built houses that were able to accommodate our population growth. The government didn't do that, and so we have a housing crisis now. We need to make sure that we are providing for those who come into New Zealand and call it home so that they can have a good life and decent opportunities. Way that we can do that is make sure actually we're meeting our skills gaps with the migrants who are coming in, because yes, we need migrant labour and migrant support, particularly in areas like construction. Our concern is that there have been changes in categories that have, for instance, allowed a number of students coming in for pretty low-level courses that aren't always good quality, and that's where we've seen a big increase in our numbers. We want to make sure that those who are coming in to study here get a decent education, so we are going to tighten that up to make sure that we're serving their needs as well as New Zealand's.
So how about the low-skilled workers?
If they're filling a skills gap, and we'll make sure that we check that skills gap check has been done, that we're doing the labour market test. Look, construction, we know we've got needs, but we're also going to make sure we start training our domestic workforce as much as we can. But we've even created a separate category called the Kiwi Build Visa, because we know that we have needs there. Ni hao to our Sky Kiwi viewers. Thank you for the chance to chat this morning. Please do make sure that no matter what, you use the chance that you have to go and use your voice this election. No matter who you vote for, voting is incredibly important. Thank you very much for the chance to be here, acknowledging Chinese Language Week, which is an incredibly important part of the New Zealand calendar as well, and all those who have been involved with making that a reality and the celebration of that we've had. So, ni hao and xie xie.